Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessATrader.com weekend update show. Hope everybody doing well. It's about an hour after the close Friday afternoon. My wife just informed me I have 3,026 things to do this weekend. So this is literally my only window to kind of share my thoughts. Hopefully you guys had a good week, good day of trading, and hopefully everything is going well in your life. So hopefully everything is okay. So let's talk about it. If you have a chance, guys, just do me a solid. Take a second out, click a like, support the channel. If you haven't come so already, come aboard, show support, and hopefully, again, I can continue to bring you joy, right? Because that's what I do. That's what my mother says. You bring people joy, obviously. Anyway, so let's talk about it. Here's the good news. Good news today. Market had a pretty substantial rally today. It feels like we've been saying that every single Friday for the last 2-3 Fridays. But today you had a 1.6% advance on the Dow, a 2% advance on the S&P, and a 2.6% advance on the NASDAQ. The problem is we're still bleeding, right? We're still bleeding for the week. S&P fell 2.3%. The Dow fell staggering 3%. And despite this 2.6% rally on the NASDAQ, we are still down 2.4%. So what's going on, right? What's going on? Well, again, let's just look at the data. Again, all I speak is about data. I don't care about opinions. I don't care about guessing or anticipating. We talk about data. Here's the data. We are now day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 underneath the 200-day moving average. We talk about this all the time, but the market will not and does not go straight down in a sell cycle. There's going to be violent rallies. If you watch the video Monday and Tuesday, we were talking about eventually you got to get a 400 or 500 point rally just to kind of let the bulls breathe a little bit. That's exactly what happened today. Pretty big move. You had some Chinese stimulus news overnight. At least for one day, the tariff talks kind of got a little bit muted, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention to it. But the bottom line is, well, we're nowhere near out of the water. And that's the most important part. Right now, we are still at levels that are underneath supply. And we'll go through the Magnificent Seven, some of the other names in a few minutes. But you'll see a lot of names are still well below this week's lows. Again, well below this week's lows, or putting in inside candles. Only several names got above the previous day's range. One of them was NVDA today, which was awesome. That was literally the only stock I was looking at today. Going into today, we caught it beautifully off the washout. At the open. Nice $2 pop very, very instantly. And then basically I just got out of the way. The difference between last week and this week, last week was super choppy, right? Super duper choppy. I felt like every single time I was shorting something into supply, a headline would come out and it would run me over. This week was different. Like I said in last weekend's video, I tried to adapt, kind of twist some little things around. It was a pretty solid week, very, very efficient. The headlines weren't as crazy, or if they were coming in the afternoon. By the time the afternoon comes, I'm already kind of done with my morning window, so it really didn't affect what we were doing. But a very, very efficient day. I think today was one of the very few times I went long anything. Again, long anything in the last X amount of weeks. Yeah, I could literally count on one hand how many trades I've taken long in the last couple of weeks. It's been all sell buys, sell buys, sell buys. When does that change, right? When does that change? Well, let's talk about some numbers, right? Let's talk about some data going into next week. We talk about how a market needs to recover and reclaim a previous level's highs or previous daily or weekly supply. If you guys remember, the high level for the week is 481 in the Qs. That's the magic number for next week. As you can see here, they got rejected 480.50s today. So we need to reclaim back this week's highs for if the bulls want to extend this rally. And if we do start building above 481. The next level measure potential is going to be 484 and change, which is the 10-day supply. Again, if you're a perma bull, God bless. I don't know what to tell you. God bless. If you're a trader, you can see how good organic this market has been generally, for the exception of last week, a little bit of stops and starts, a little bit of hiccups, but overall, the market came back organically trading this week and turned out to be a pretty solid week. But again, you need baby steps, right? You need baby steps. First, you need to reclaim back this week's highs and get to 484, and then you need to get rejected at 484 and then reclaim back the next day for a possible move back to the 200-day moving average before we could even start talking about higher levels and more important levels that we need to reclaim. If you look at individual stocks, number one, the quantum names woke up today. Very, very aggressive move in the quantum names, the QBTSs of the world. Nice moves, some nice moves. RKLBs of the world, SOUNs of the world. They had some really, really nice moves today. I believe there is some sort of quantum event. I think NVIDIA has an event starting on, I think, Monday. I think it's March 17th through the 19th. A lot of these stocks got run up ahead of that, and obviously NVIDIA got a ramp as well. But let's go through the names. I just want to kind of illustrate to you guys that, where we are in the spectrum and why we're not, why we're not out of the woods, not even close. So let's talk about some names. So Apple broke down this week. We've even watching the video, massive, massive breakdown today. The idea that somebody said Apple was ripping. Apple had an inside day. Guys, Apple closed. It's still $4 from yesterday's highs. I think you have to start using different words to describe what's going on. All Apple did was have an inside day with a 2.5% run up in the markets. You look at Tesla. Tesla actually kind of is interesting me, right? It's kind of interesting me. It's kind of starting to mirror like the QQQs. I kind of like it, man. I'm kind of starting to like it for a potential trade next week if the Qs can reclaim back 481. Again, it's a very, very big if, but as we say all the time, you have to kind of be ready. If Tesla can start getting back above the March 10th highs, right? There's a shot, man. There's a shot this thing could actually start waking up. Again, it's a big if, but the point is it's still below this daily range that went back to March the 10th. You look at Amazon, right? Amazon, again, what are you excited about, right? What are you excited about Amazon? Yeah, it's up $4. It was an inside day. They didn't even take out the previous day's high. And that's my point. Again, you have to start looking at things from a more dynamic point of view. Again, the only way a stock can go higher, a stock can expand. I'm not even talking about a 2, 3, 4 week period. I'm just talking about the next supply zone in a sell environment. It has to get above the previous day's high. If it doesn't get above the previous day's high, there's no possible way it can go higher. It's just the laws of the land and the most basic thing in technical analysis. Yesterday's high was 199.87. Today's high 198.65. Right, and then again it got bounced off. You look at a name, for example, like Meta. Right. Meta had a nice pop today, right? It was up 17 points. Yeah, the problem was that Meta got murdered yesterday, right? Inside day. Yesterday's high was 620. The low was 586. The stock went to 587, got rejected off the 5 days. So I think you're starting to understand what I'm saying. Again, a lot of work to do. There was a handful of names that got back above the previous day's range, and they're notable because what's what happened. Again, kind of proves my point. When you get back above the previous day's range, that's when your stock can expand, right? So look, for example, PLTR, right? PLTR got back above the previous 2 days range. And look what happened. PLTR went from 84 all the way up to 87. Again, that's called expansion. That's called getting above the previous day's range. I actually like PLTR. PLTR stopped right at the 50-day. If PLTR could actually wake up next week and get back above the 50-day moving average, who knows? Maybe this thing could run up. So keep an eye on that. NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA, again, another example. It got back above the range. What did it do? It had a very, very impressive move. So again, if you look at the stocks that failed to get it back above yesterday's ranges, they did nothing today. All they did was literally dead cat bounce for an inside day. The stocks that got back above the previous day's range, the PLTRs and the NVIDIAs, they're the ones that made their substantial moves. Even a name like Microsoft, right? that, is not, it's gotten killed. I mean, absolutely killed. But you can see the point. Microsoft, at least it took out a 3-day range and put up another $3 on top of that range. So you can clearly see there's the haves and the have-nots. You can look at today and say, wow, this is great. This was the bottom. Yeah, you could have said that literally for the last 3 Fridays, and we all know what happened the next Monday. So can we break? Is it possible that the bulls finally break the stigma of rallying into the close on Friday and getting killed again on Monday? To be determined, right? To be determined. But the big number going into into next week is 481. Without 481, there is no rally, there is no squeeze, there is no bottom. We need to get back above 481. Any close above 481, the QQQs should start at least taking baby steps to getting back to the 10-day and potentially above the 10-day, getting back to the 200-day moving average, where obviously a big price discovery is going to be validated. So next week, I mean, look, I want to give the bulls the benefit of the doubt. It's just so hard. As soon as I, wake up the next day and I'm like, oh God, they're already taking out the previous day's low. Right away, man, I start shorting stocks again, because that's exactly what's happening here. They give you 1 day of range, right? 1 day of range, 2 days of range, possibly, and then there's an engulfing candle and kills everything in the first hour of the day. Let's see if the bulls can make, put up a fight, right? Put up a fight going into next week. SPX, if you look at the SPX, again, I'm not really a big buyer of the SPX, but you can see here, it's the same thing as the Qs. The SPX needs to get above 56.45, right? That's the magic number on the SPX. If they're going to rally, the SPX needs to get back above 56.45 for a potential move into the 10-day moving average, roughly 56.90s. Again, without this happening, the market does nothing. So it's very, very important to understand your levels. For the bulls case and for the bulls' sake, hopefully next week, these tariff news headlines, they just start to die down, or everybody starts to get tone deaf to them, because the longer something plays out, if you guys remember the first time Russia attacked the Ukraine, it was a big deal for 2 weeks. This is happening, that happening. This has been going on for a long, long time, and nobody's really jumping the gun in every single headline that's happening in the Ukraine war. Obviously, the big story is, can we start in coexisting on the same planet? First of all, we need a ceasefire, then we need some sort of truce, so forth and so on. But as you can tell, the more that the weeks go by, the days go by, once we start going tone deaf to the tariffs and all that stuff, that's where the bulls can start orchestrating a more meaningful move and start reclaiming more supply zones. Guys, have a great night, everybody. Good job this week. Really, really good job this week. God bless everybody. Go enjoy your life. I don't know when you guys see this broadcast. I'm recording it Friday afternoon. Maybe you'll see it tonight. Maybe you'll see it Saturday, but you'll definitely see it at some point. Guys, God bless everybody. Have a great night. And God's help, I'll see you all on Monday.